Durrani. And we do have... Wow!
Oh no!
You gotta be kidding
Oh
me.
my goodness!
Last week it was the final road course event of the year, and boy did it deliver. When it looked like Finguy had it in the bag, suddenly he hadn't, allowing Reggie Fogleman to take the win instead. Finguy, however, has a chance to redeem himself at Richmond, a track he should be super favorite for, but of course there are plenty of other drivers that will be willing to take away the first spot away from him, mainly Gary Movadell and Nathan Stapleton. Only time will tell what will happen. As we come live here at Richmond Raceway for qualifying for round 26 of the 2025 PSRLA Cup Series, race 4 of the playoffs. Hello everybody, my name is Alex Vitale. Welcome to Richmond Raceway, one of the most exciting tracks in North America, and a track that Jeffrey Finguy should be super favorite at, considering his performances at short tracks. As you know, he won at Martinsville and at Iowa. He pretty much dominated in those events, and I reckon he would have won Bristol if stuff didn't happen. But yeah, of the short track event, Finguy has had 2 wins, so of course he has to be considered a super favorite for the race here at Richmond. And speaking of races where he looked like a super favorite, last week was basically, it can be described as the fall of Durrani racing needs to be studied, because, okay, that it's a dead meme, but come on, at least give me that. Because, if you remember, the Durrani guys qualified first and second, first Finguy and then Fitzwater second. And Fitzwater looked like he had it in the bag for his first win of 2025 outside of the All-Star race, and then his engine blew up. Finguy inherited the lead, and he looked like he finally got it, and was going to come out of Watkins Glen with win number 6 and an extended lead in the championship. And then he got a botched pit stop strategy that unfortunately left him with an 8th place finish, which is still good, but considering he could have won, that's gotta sting. Of course, all in favor of Reggie Fogleman, who claimed his 2nd win of the season. So, yeah, at least Fogleman can say that he has had a really good season with 2 wins and, of course, an interest in the playoffs. But that was then. Now we need to focus on the now, and as we stated, Richmond is one of the most exciting tracks in North America, and if I remember correctly, last year's race was a pretty exciting one. So, of course, with ratings and all, and with equal ratings and all, so of course, how a race here at Richmond will be with the ratings it's a complete unknown, which, let's be fair, it makes it both exciting and super boring. But of course, we'll see what's going to happen tomorrow on Saturday. As for qualifying, for pre-qualifying, well, there's pretty much nothing else to say other than it's usual suspects. So yeah, although Ginny Stamelio is getting very close of entering that the pre-qualifying field, because he hasn't had the best performances as of late. So there's a very high chance we might finally have a okay, finally is a bit of a word. Okay, we might have, unfortunately, a brand new entrant in the pre-qualifying spot, in the hell known as pre-qualifying, which would be a shame because D'Amelio, we all saw how one of the things they did in the Grand National Series, and unfortunately he was stuck with a team that had no ownership for virtually a majority of the championship. So yeah, it would be a shame if D'Amelio dropped into pre-qualifying. But yeah, that's everything that has to be said. So guess what, folks? Let's start off pre-qualifying. And Brother Ream will be the first one out of pit road. Bradley Ream qualified last week at Watkins Glen. Of course, the driver is going to start his banker lap. Somebody else has left the pits. No, Ream right now is the only car out on the track. So of course, the first time will be his. as he goes for 3 and 4 into the main straight, and 21.3 for the 25 car as Samanaskan leaves the pits. Samanaskan, who last week broke a streak of 3 consecutive DNQs by being able to start at Watkins Glen. Let's see if the Swedish driver can make it 2 in a row, or it will be another DNQ, as Reem does not improve his time. Otskan and the Pardon start their banker laps, start their proper flying laps. As now Hunter Mendoza leaves the pits. Mendoza, amazing qualifying performance last week from Mendoza. Started in 10th and back it out with a very solid performance, especially considering the type of car that he's driving. As Oskan comes across the line and 21.6. Pardon goes 21.4. Gardner goes 21.3. Reem, it doesn't improve his time, 20.9. Of course, this should be the banker lap for Mendoza, and this is the flying lap. As we were saying, amazing qualifying session for Hunter Mendoza, top 10 starting position, and then a great race, especially considering the type of equipment that he was driving, as now Haas leaves the pits, so all the pre-qualifying cars are out on track. And Mendoza is going to do 21.2, currently in 4th. As Reem keeps the lead, as Pardon goes second fastest, 21 flat for the Firewall King car. Of course, the last driver to score a time is Jack Haas, and let's see what time the Canadian driver is going to do. Is he going to be 6th, 21.3? So right now Haas will be DNQing, which I believe will be the first DNQ in a very good while, if that happens. Now there's only 1 minute and 10 left on the clock, now counting, of course, overtime. As Garner is not that far away from taking the top spot away from Bradley Reem. Can he do it? And he does. 20.8 for Darby Gardner. Does Bradley Reem respond? And the answer is no. Now let's focus on Jack Haas. Can Jack Haas answer? Backhand climb at least 5th, and he does. He drops Mendoza down to a DNQ. As Oscar goes second fastest. So looks like his second consecutive. So at least looks like that. So at least it looks like his second consecutive start almost all but guaranteed. As Asno gets second fastest. Haas goes fastest. I don't know why they're second fastest. Let's go drop Pardon into the DNQ spot. And now this man Reem is on the bubble. And now he goes second fastest. It's gonna drop Mendoza into a danger zone. What time Mendoza is going to do? Does Mendoza improve? He does not. As Pardon is in the pits. So right now Jack Haas leads the way. Then it will be Samadoskin. Then is Brad Reem, Arbor Gardner, and Hunter Mendoza. Mendoza is in 5th. Looks like nobody is going to improve their time. And looks like Brad Reem pretty much has given up. There's Tanner Pardon in the leaving, but I have no idea if he doesn't have enough time to score time. It looks like he's not. As these guys are all pretty much safe, and Pardon, unfortunately he's unable to do one more lap. So Jekka, someone else can Brother Reem, Arbor Gardner, and Anthony Mendoza will go through qualifying, and Tanner Pardon will collect the second consecutive DNQ. And with that, see you in qualifying. And last week's winner, Reggie Fogleman, will be the first one out on pit road. Although that was stolen away by Gary Movedel. Of course, 2 championship drivers. Movedel, who wasn't at the best of races last time at Watkins Glen. I say this, but it's also true that his other championship rivals also had worse days than he did. In fact, if we were going by regular points, Movedel would still be the leader. Although now the points would be, I believe, 20 points from second place. I believe. But in the meantime, there's all the drivers in the pits. Of course, the only one that did not qualify is Tanner Parton. As Guillermo Movedel is now currently on top of the leaderboards, but now there's now Zachary Fitzwater, possibly one of the most possibly the most disappointed. There goes Richie Fogleman taking pole position. Fogleman takes pole position, and now is stolen by his teammate and Alexander Rowe, 20.6, as Ream leaves the pits. Zachary Fitzwater, as we stated, was possibly the maybe 20% fair. Both Durrani guys left Watkins Glen definitely very disappointed with how things went. As Movedel took pole position again, and now Fitzwater takes second place. Does Movedel improve his time? He does, 20.4. As Fogleman goes second fastest. Then is now Rowe goes again second fastest. Rowe goes second fastest. Crown is third. Fogleman is in fourth. Then Fitzwater is in fifth. Then it's Koshmar, Duncan Ward. As now Anthony Nickel goes third fastest. We're focusing on Alexander Rowe. Can Alexander Rowe take pole position away? And he does. Alexander Rowe on provisional pole. But now can Movedel answer back? Where is the Polish driver? Here he is, and just in time, but no, he does not improve his time. Actually, he does improve his time, but not enough to take away pole position back. As Nathan Stapleton right now is has had a pretty terrible qualifying session right now, down in 18th. As Andrew Williams goes 8th fastest, running up the top 10 is Avery Alford. As now both the Appalachia cars occupy the front row, first row. Then Fogleman, who improved his time after second place, and now Philip Torres gets the second place, followed by Lena Koshmar. As Movedel drops down all the way down to 9th, as Fogleman continues on his chase for pole position. In the meantime, there's the other disappointed driver in Jeffrey Finguy. Finguy hasn't had the best of qualifying. Where is he? He's now in 10th. As Tom Sloan takes the provisional pole. We're looking at Philip Torres. Can Torres claim pole position back? Using the drive from Eric Monaco, and the answer looks to be no. As Anthony Nickel goes 7th fastest. Finguy is still stuck in 10th. And now Avery Alford takes provisional pole. As Movedel managed to improve his time back to 3rd. Koshmar runs up the top 10. But then is a bit of a check up there because of Al Anderson Jr. That's definitely going to ruin everybody's lap times here. And in fact it does. As Fogleman is now 6th fastest. And Torres now drops down to 5th. So right now is Alfred, Sloan, and Gutierrez. Speaking of, there's another able car in the top 10. That being Jonathan Carries, and back in 10th. Alexander Rowe is in 9th. As Movedel improves. Fogleman improves back to 2nd. And Movedel drops down to 6th. As now Finguy improves up to 2nd, but now drops down to 3rd because Fitzwater scored pole position. Fitzwater scored pole position. Is now currently leaving the pits. Of course, the two Durrani boys separated by Avery Alford. As Finguy takes provisional pole. by 20.1. He's very close in going in the upper 90s, upper 19s. If he can, let's see. 4 minutes and 10 left on the clock, and he does not. But right now it looks to be a Durrani 1-2 for the second week in a row. And if things stay as they are, let's hope that this time will be a lot more. Let's see if fate will be a little more kinder this time. As Movedel, we'll look at Movedel is currently in 8th. Can Movedel improve his time? And the answer is no. So right now it's Finguy and Fitzwater once again occupying the front row. Then is Avery Alpha. Then is Alexander Rowe, Reggie Fogleman. Then is another pair of teammates in Tom Sloan and Gutierrez 67th. Then is Gary Movedel. Then is Philip Torres and Jonathan Harrison in 10th. So we got both Durrani cars, both Appalachia cars, 3 out of the 4 Able cars, and of course one checkered flag car in the top 10. As we look at Bryce Egan, who has had a stretch of good races at Iowa and Watkins Glen. Suddenly he's struggling down in 16th. Gutierrez is in 7th, using the draft from Carson Miller. Carson Miller, who currently is in 29 into the 5th. 29th is actually Bro Giacomo, ironically enough. But Gutierrez does not get better than this. And right now the situation looks to have calmed itself down. 2.5 minutes left on the clock. And Fitzwater does not improve his time. There is Stapleton. Now he managed to climb back into the top 10 spot. Is now dealing with Zane Davidson. Davidson, who is in 19th. So not an easy qualifying session for the Celeritas driver. Stapleton does not improve his time. He is still in 10th. 2 minutes left on the clock. As we look at Jack Haas, Haas looks to will start the race. Right now he's in 42nd. Unless something happens. Here's the poster, Jeffrey Finguy. As we stated, he had a terrible race at Watkins Glen, and of course he will try and redeem himself here at Richmond. Fate, and of course bias again by commentator the commentators going against them. But right now the situation, actually no, Justin Perez climbed himself back into 10th. Justin Perez climbed back to the 10th as dropped Stapleton down to 11th. You actually never heard about, never mind, now Stapleton's go back to 7th. To be fair, it's been a while since we've seen Justin Perez doing a pretty good qualifying session. As now drops Philip Torres down at the edge of the top 10. And Movedel is in 9th. Now Torres drops down to 11th because Brandon Beal is now in 5th. Brandon Beal, who has had an amazing race at Watkins Glen last week, now looks like he's going to have another, at least a great start of the weekend in 5th. As there's Hunter Mendoza. Speaking of great weekends, that was a great weekend last week for Hunter Mendoza. Started in 10th, finished pretty well as well, I guess. And of course, considering the performances of that car and the wrecking, and that's Richie Fogleman, and that's because Luke Evans is blown up. Luke Evans is blown up. Sloan has a bit of damage. At least actually Evans blown up, but maybe he just crashed and the engine of course blew up as a result of the damage. But in the meantime, there is RB Gardner and Eric Monaco. Monaco is in Gardner. Okay, Monaco is in 42nd, and Gardner is in 36th. And there's Gutierrez. Gutierrez is in 9th. Of course, Gutierrez winner at Red America. And that'll be it for qualifying. And guess what? It's a Durrani 1-2 for the second time running. Jeffrey Finguy and Zachary Fitzwater. So let's hope at least the Durrani boys will have the whole of the organization will have to hope that Richmond is going to be more kinder than Watkins Glen was. Then we got Avery Alford in 3rd, Alexander Roy in 4th for Brandon Beal. Shout out to Brandon Beal. Top 5 starting position here at Richmond. Then we got Reggie Fogleman, Tom Sloan, Nathan Stapleton, Andy Gutierrez, and Gary Movidell in 10th. And of course, Genius Demel and Simon Oskan will be rounding up the rear of the field. In the meantime, so Finguy is in 1st, then is Fogleman second, then is Stapleton in 3rd. In terms of playoff drivers, that is Movidell, Torres, Carrison, Crown, Davidson, Egan, and then John Williams Jr. And I believe that's all of them, if I remember correctly. Yes. So, yeah, that's where the playoff drivers are. First is Finguy, then is Fogleman, then is Stapleton, then is Movidell, then is Torres, then is Carrison, then is Koshmar, Crown, Davidson, Egan, and Troy Williams Jr. And of course, Andrew Williams as the lowest of the playoff drivers. Almost forgot him. I'm sorry, almost forgot him. But yeah, this is the situation in terms of the playoff drivers. So, it'll be a Durrani 1-2 for the second week in a row, and it'll be the exact same lineup as Watkins Glen. First the 41 car, then the 52 car, and running up the rear of the field will be Simon Oskin and Genius D'Amelio. And as we stated previously, now Ryan Durrani and the rest of the organization, and of course both Finguy and Fitzwater, will have to pray to every single god in existence and every single pantheon that Richmond this time is going to be a lot more kinder to them than Watkins Glen was. But of course, we will see tomorrow for the race. But for qualifying, it's all. And there's nothing else to be said other than this has been a special presentation of the 2025 PSRLA Cup Series 45% Network. I'm Alex Vitale, and see you tomorrow for the race. So long, everybody, from Richmond.